So, to finalize our final LIFEGENMON conference entitled Forest Science for Future Forests, Forest Genetic Monitoring and Biodiversity in Changing Environments, we have now prepared a few press releases or statements for the press. From the LIFEGENMON point of view, we would need to stress that biodiversity and its component, genetic diversity, are crucial for the adaptability of future forests to the environmental and climate changes. The genetic diversity of forest tree populations increases their adaptability potential to changes in the environment, making forests more resilient to all the future changes. The LIFEGENMON project started in 2014 with the aim of creating, testing, and implementing a system for forest genetic monitoring. It was coordinated by the Slovenian Forestry Institute, contributed by Slovenia Forest Service and the Center for Non-Governmental Organizations from Slovenia, as well as from two partners from Greece, Aristoteles University and the decentralized unit of the Greek Ministry for Forestry from Thessaloniki, and by the Institution for Forest Genetics from Bavaria in Germany. So the LIFEGENMON project area ranges from Bavaria to Thessaloniki. The project team explored the genetic diversity of forest tree populations on 6 forest genetic monitoring plots, 2 per country, 1 for beech, 1 for silver fir Abies borisii complex. The aim of the project was the development and implementation of the system for forest genetic monitoring. This system is able to serve foresters and governments in the future as an early warning system, notifying us about the potential vulnerabilities of forests before they can be seen by the naked human eye. It can be applied at several levels, taking into account the needs, resources, and context of implementing institution or forest owner. The system and also other outputs of the LIFEGENMON project will be made available to the public by the Manual for Forest Genetic Monitoring and Guidelines for Forest Genetic Monitoring, which will be released in the next few months. Throughout the project, we have learned about the importance of forest genetic diversity for future forests. And while the project's aim in 2014 were still fairly abstract to most project stakeholders, or even to foresters, this view is very different today. Climate change effects in forests call for active measures and solutions, and the implementation of forest genetic monitoring system seems more viable each day. Most importantly, it has already been tested in the Slovenian forest management practices. In addition to the main project results, a great deal of work has been done also in the form of communication and dissemination of project topics and results. The project topics have been presented all over the world, and especially in Europe, to the experts and by the experts, scientists, the members of the Academies of Sciences, professionals, policymakers, but we also aimed and reached children, teachers, and the general public. Several handbooks, children books, films, and manuals have been produced within the framework of the LIFEGENMON project, and they have done their role in spreading the awareness about the importance of forest genetic diversity and forest genetic monitoring. And with this, I forward the microphone to the next speaker.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I would like to present the importance of science to the practice, as I come from the Slovenia Forest Service, which is a management authority for Slovenia forests. and provide a public forest service for all forests. So climate change affects forest ecosystems sufficiently, and these effects could be seen in changing growth and site conditions, and also in the increasing rate of disturbances. In the last 5 years, few catastrophic events occurs at an alarming rate in Slovenia forest. More than 20 million of cubic meters of wood was damaged and harvested in Slovenia forest. So taking all this into account, it is clear that the forest science and research have a crucial role in adapting forest management to the new conditions. So forest science should provide a good background and find ways how to adapt to the new climate conditions, to change the current forest management, and to find new ways of measures in this field. So, but that is not enough. We also need to transfer the knowledge from the science to the practice. And an implementation project such as LIFEGENMON is a good way to transfer all the findings of the science to the practice, to foresters, and to improve the management of each forest stands. So in Slovenia, which have sufficient forest management planning systems on a different levels, this is an important instrument to transfer the knowledge. In the next year, in 2021, Slovenia will prepare regional plans for all Slovenian forests, and all the findings from the LIFEGENMON project will be somehow integrated in the strategies and in adaptation measures to be more resistant of the climate change. So in my name and also in the name of the institutions, I would here like to thank the project team and also all the researchers who contribute to the project to climate change adaptation of the forests.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ljubljana. Now we go to Dr. Matjaž, Vice Dean at the Biotechnical Faculty of the University of Ljubljana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At the beginning, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the project team to perform this well-organized event, and for all the results that was performed within the conference, within the project. We'll find them interesting also, let's say, within our faculty. As a second, I would like to state that the importance of this project in the wood science, or let's say at the second part of the forestry wood product chain. We're also interested in the genetic origin of the wood quality, and in particular how climate changes will influence the wood quality, how the availability, and further on also the presence of the wood pests in the future. This part is particularly important from the perspective of the wooden constructions and wooden objects, as the climate changes might result in the appearance of new pests or more prominent spread of the existing pests that might influence the well-being. We believe that this topic needs to be addressed in the future projects as well.
Thank you. Now we go online to Dr. Mauser, Deputy Director of the European Forestry Institute. Are we connected?
Yes. Yes, I believe we are.
Thank you.
So, good morning or good afternoon also from my side. And I will not so much talk about the importance of the forest genetic resources, because I think that my colleagues are much better positioned for there and have also a better knowledge to highlight the particular importance. I believe that it is important that we understand that the whole forest sector will need to work in the future based on a new platform, because the forests are our key asset for mastering the transition to a sustainable future, a future that needs to be certainly based on a new economic paradigm, a new economic model, a model that considers sustainability and renewable natural resources, a circular bioeconomy. This model should actually enable an economic development within the boundaries of our planet and without damaging the nature to the level as we were experiencing over the last decades. And forests, as the main provider of renewable non-food and non-feed biomass, will be again at the center of our attention, like they're already now, at least for our community. On one hand, they're of course important for the provision of goods and services that the society relies on, but at the same time, they're also key for the conservation of biodiversity at different levels, as it was also already explained by my colleagues. And just to underline also the words of some of the speakers before, forests are not only given and an asset, but they're also subject to the threats and environmental hazards resulting from the impacts of climate change. So extensive droughts, pest diseases, forest fires, wind or snow breaks, ice breaks, they all impact the resilience and the stability of our forests. Therefore, it is of utmost importance to make our forests resilient and adaptable to the impacts of the climate change, and also helping us to mitigate these impacts at the same time. As you know, forests are actually the biggest terrestrial sink of carbon. So you can imagine that this brings enormous responsibility to forest owners, managers, policymakers, experts, scientists, to design management practices, solutions, tools, policies that will help of fostering the resilience of forests, and at the same time provide the society with demanded goods and services in a sustainable way. It will require that we develop new innovative projects to all the aspects of forest management. Forest genetic resources just being one of them, not less or more important than others, but just as important as many others. So, and finally, it's also the task of forest science, if you wish to say so, to find these new ways to deal with challenges and to create new opportunities for the forest sectors. And of course, what finally I want to underline again and again, because I don't think that we say it enough, even maybe we think it enough, is that it's very important that we also reach out to other sectors, to practitioners, policymakers, and to society at large, to inform them about the importance that the forests have for the well-being of our society. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today here.
Thank you, Dr. Mauser. We are staying online, and we go to Dr. Bozzano, U4Gene Coordinator at the European Forestry Institute. Yes, Dr. Bozzano, I see you already, and I give you the word. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to follow up in this interaction. I would like to underline, imagining there will be some journalists there wondering what are those genetic resources and why forest genetic resources are so important, so crucial, and why we are bothering so much. You know, imagining, just give one example. These forest genetic resources are important because they allow our forests to adapt. Just imagine that the old genetic resources that we have are just like a deck of cards. We have a deck of cards, and we can do many different kind of games. Many games, they have already some rules. We can make up many others. But then in the moment that we start losing some of those cards, we throw away some of those cards, the number of games we can do are smaller and smaller. Then it comes out that many games that we knew how we could do, they cannot be done anymore. And then we can still try to use our imagination, but then the possibility will be fewer and fewer. Well, basically, the pool of genetic diversity that we have now is very similar to this. We have a lot of diversity that allow us to do many things. In the moment we lose the genetic diversity, we lose our option. We lose our capacity, both of doing things in the way we were doing and to invent new things, because the possibility will be very limited. So this is why it's so important that we conserve this genetic diversity. But conserving, it doesn't mean not touching, putting aside. There is one concept that was invited several years ago, which is called sustainable forest management. And this concept allows us to see that if we properly look at the forest, we properly manage the forest, we can do at the same time the conservation and the production of timber, the production of many other ecosystem services that are really important for our well-being. So there are many people coming from the academic world there in the room today, also connected online. We all have a very strong responsibility in keep forming very capable manager, very capable scientists, and bridging this gap, bridging the link between the practitioner and the science, between the science and the policymakers. As I was trying to explain when I had the possibility of speaking yesterday, really being able to understand what is the need, the ecological need, the physiological need of trees, what science is telling us that the practitioner should be doing, then in the very same moment we need to speak with the policymakers, because we need to build also, we need to enable a framework, a policy framework, a regulation framework that allows this change to happen. And this is all what I wanted to say. There are organizations, international and national organizations, that are really at the center of this exchange between science and policy, and science and practice. And this is why this coordination, this communication is really important in making the translation between what we understand and pushing our understanding as much as possible to be able to promote the adaptation, and then on the other side to translate it into practical guidelines and new regulation, new policies. Thank you very much again for this opportunity. I'm very much willing to follow up with any question from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bozzano. Thank you all for these powerful messages about the importance of putting science into practice. Now I give word to Dr. Krieger. She will tell us about the LIFEGENMON project in short.
Thank you very much to all the active contributors. Now we would need to ask the audience, and also if there are any journalists, if there are any specific questions. I can already see that also Phil Aravanopoulos has his hand is up, so maybe the first additional contribution is now to Phil. Phil, the floor is yours.
Yes, Hoika, in fact, I had raised my hand in the previous discussion, so I would not have something to say further from what you have already indicated. Just to stress the fact of the importance of genetic monitoring and the importance to continue as a means to conserve our genetic resources. And to thank you also for taking all this opportunity to publicize our research and stress our future goals. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions? The members of the media will pass the messages to the media, but do we have any other questions now?
If there are no other immediate questions, we shall provide our statements for the media, and maybe we just close up the press conference for now and continue with the final part of the LIFEGENMON conference. Katja?
Thank you. So with this, we now conclude the press conference, and we have a 15 minutes break.
I think we can just continue, because
Okay.
we have two short presentations by our colleagues from Greece, Greece, and then we'll close up the conference.
We continue now, so please don't leave, stay online. Yeah?
Okay, Katja. Then
We continue now?
yeah, so now we
Good.
just continue
Okay.
with the final part of the LIFEGENMON conference. So Phil is going to present cost action, which is relevant also for forest genetic diversity, forest genetic resources, and monitoring of genetic diversity. Phil, please.
So the presentation of this poster, this short presentation is with regards to conservation cost action, which is called conserve plants, and in particular on the one working group of this cost action, which is the working group on the genomics of plant conservation. So this cost action started last year. It's a new cost action, and is based on the fact that for rare and threatened species, we know very little about their conservation status, while environmental change is very rapid, many threats, and some efforts that have been done so far in these species are really schematic and not well unified and comprehensive. So the aim of this action is to bring together people that work on plant conservation, stakeholders, scientists, and so on. And it's based on 5 groups. One group is focusing on in situ conservation, one on ex situ, one on gaps, one on the human dimension, and one on the genomics of plant conservation. This is the group that I lead. I'm going to speak a little bit more about this group. Is co-led by Marcin Klitsch from the Polish Forest Research Institute. I'm originally from the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki myself. And the main actions of this working group are to evaluate the potential for conservation genetics, to denote the implementation of genetic conservation, of genomic conservation theory and application into applied plant conservation. So the main goals are to determine the novel genomic technologies by how far they can be used in conservation practice, document the use of genomics, integrate genomics into management decisions, and develop recommendations for conservation managers. This working group is, in fact, consisting of 4 tasks, one focusing on in situ and one on ex situ conservation, one on the documentation of landscape genetics and genomics, and also one task on the translation of genomics results into management of plant genetic resources. And 4 activities related to these developments that the tasks plan to do. One is on a database development, one activity on a review paper on conservation genomics, one on local adaptation, and one task on the development of a policy brief and the position paper regarding practical plant genomic conservation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Phil, for a brief presentation of this cost action. There are also a few other cost actions like G-Bike and so on, but we'll skip their presentations for now. And we would just like to announce the first release of a brief movie which was produced within the Greek team, LIFEGENMON team. So it's about LIFEGENMON and forest genetic monitoring.
If I may say a word, Hoika?
Yes, yes, Phil.
I would like to acknowledge the contribution of my research assistant, Marita Papagianni, in this film. She worked a lot with me on this. And also the assistance and the cooperation of the Forest Service, of the decentralized administration of Macedonia and Thrace for the securities and the team from there, and also Stellart, our producers. Thanks.
Η κλιματική αλλαγή είναι ένα φαινόμενο το οποίο συνεχώς μας δημιουργεί νέες εκπλήξεις. Έχουμε μεγάλες αλλαγές στο περιβάλλον, στο κλίμα όπως εξελίσσεται και ιδιαίτερα έχουμε αρχίσει να έχουμε μεγάλες καταστροφές στα φυσικά οικοσυστήματα. Ένα πάρα πολύ σημαντικό κομμάτι που έχει ο φυσικός κόσμος για να αντιμετωπίσει τα προβλήματα της κλιματικής αλλαγής είναι η βιοποικιλότητα. Είναι δηλαδή τα διαφορετικά οικοσυστήματα, τα διαφορετικά είδη και κάτι που ξεχνάμε συνήθως, τα γονίδια. Όλη αυτή η μεγάλη ποικιλότητα και οι δυνατότητες που έχει να αντιδράσει αποτελούν ένα τεράστιο πλωστάσιο έναντι της κλιματικής αλλαγής. Η γενετική ποικιλότητα λοιπόν είναι η βάση στην οποία εδράζεται η ανταπόκριση των οργανισμών στο περιβάλλον. Είναι όλα τα γονίδια αυτά, τα οποία είναι σημαντικά σήμερα ή μπορεί να είναι σημαντικά στο μέλλον, έτσι ώστε να μπορέσουν οι οργανισμοί, οι πληθυσμοί, τα είδη και τα οικοσυστήματα να προσαρμοστούν σε ένα μεταβαλλόμενο περιβάλλον. Η γενετική ποικιλότητα χρειάζεται προστασία, όπως προστασία χρειάζεται το οικοσύστημα και τα είδη. Για να προστατεύσουμε λοιπόν τη γενετική ποικιλότητα, πρέπει να προστατεύουμε τα οικοσυστήματα και τα είδη μέσα στα οποία αυτή η γενετική ποικιλότητα βρίσκεται. Χρειάζονται λοιπόν πάρα πολλοί τρόποι και μεθοδολογίες για να μπορέσουμε να το κάνουμε αυτό. Η Ευρωπαϊκή Ήπειρος έχει αρκετά δάση, περίπου 215 εκατομμύρια εκτάρια ή το 33% της χερσαίας έκτασης. Η κλιματική αλλαγή με τα έντονα προβλήματα που δημιουργεί, χρόνο με το χρόνο, μας οδηγεί σε μεγαλύτερη ανάγκη προστασίας των δασών και γενικά των φυσικών οικοσυστημάτων. Η γενετική παρακολούθηση αποτελεί ένα μέσο για την εφαρμογή της προστασίας των φυσικών πόρων και ιδιαίτερα των γενετικών πόρων, ένα μακροχρόνιο μέσο με εφαρμογή σε βάθος χρόνου που μπορεί να αξιολογήσει χρονικές μεταβολές στην έκτηση της γενετικής ποικιλότητας μέσα σε ένα ισχυρά μεταβαλλόμενο περιβάλλον εξαιτίας της κλιματικής αλλαγής. Ουσιαστικά λοιπόν η προστασία της γενετικής ποικιλότητας μπορεί να γίνει προστατεύοντας μια περιοχή στη φύση, αλλά ποτέ δεν ξέρουμε αν η γενετική ποικιλότητα που υπάρχει στην περιοχή αυτή διατηρείται, επαυξάνεται ή μειώνεται. Η γενετική παρακολούθηση έρχεται για να δώσει μια απάντηση στο ερώτημα αυτό. Η γενετική παρακολούθηση έρχεται λοιπόν έτσι ώστε να μπορέσει να δώσει μια χρονική εκτίμηση της μεταβολής της γενετικής ποικιλότητας σε βάθος χρόνου. Το πρόγραμμα LIFEGENMON είναι μια απόδειξη από τις αρχές της θεωρίας της γενετικής παρακολούθησης, η οποία αναπτύχθηκε και από το δικό μας εργαστήριο εδώ και περίπου 10 χρόνια. Το πρόγραμμα LIFEGENMON λοιπόν καλύπτει μια περιοχή η οποία εκτείνεται από τις Βαβαρικές Άλπεις, από τη Βαβαρία μέχρι το Ρωσόλιπο στην Ελλάδα και καλύπτει όλες τις ενδιάμεσες χώρες, ασχολείται επισταμένα με εκτάσεις γενετικής παρακολούθησης που είναι στη Γερμανία, στη Σλοβενία και στην Ελλάδα, με κύρια δασοπονικά είδη του έργου να είναι 2, η δασική οξιά και η ελάτη, στην Ελλάδα η υβριδογενής ελάτη, και με 5 άλλα είδη, τα οποία επίσης αξιολογούνται σε δευτερεύοντα χρόνο. Η σημασία λοιπόν των ελληνικών δασών στην προστασία των γενετικών πόρων και στη γενετική παρακολούθηση είναι ιδιαίτερα μεγάλη, και αυτό συμβαίνει διότι το περιβάλλον που υπάρχει σήμερα στη χώρα μας είναι το περιβάλλον αυτό το οποίο εκτιμούμε ότι θα υπάρχει στο τέλος του αιώνα, περίπου στο 2100, στη Μεσευρώπη. Έτσι, οι γενετικοί πόροι της Ελλάδας έχουν πάρα πολύ μεγάλη σημασία για το αύριο των ευρωπαϊκών δασών. Και η γενετική παρακολούθηση έρχεται σήμερα να αποτελέσει ένα μέσο μελέτης και προστασίας των γενετικών πόρων.
Δέντρο νούμερο 31, διάμετρος 32.
Το πρόγραμμα έχει σχεδιαστεί έτσι ώστε να λάβουμε πάρα πολλές μετρήσεις φαινολογικές, δηλαδή ύψος, διάμετρο των δέντρων, έκρηξη οφθαλμών, άνθη, καρπούς και πάρα πολλά γενετικά δεδομένα, έτσι ώστε να συλλέξουμε μια αλληλουχία πληροφοριών η οποία θα χρησιμοποιηθεί για να αξιολογηθεί η γενετική παρακολούθηση. Η συχνότητα μετρήσεων, οι αναλύσεις και η διαφορά στο σήμα το οποίο παίρνουμε σε βάθος χρόνου. Έχουμε λοιπόν μια μεγάλη βάση δεδομένων που στείνεται πάνω σε αυτό και αυτή η βάση δεδομένων εμπλουτίζεται συνέχεια, αξιολογείται και αυξάνεται. Ουσιαστικά το πρόγραμμα έχει σκοπό να φτιάξει στο τέλος ένα οδηγό εφαρμογής, έναν τρόπο με τον οποίο θα μπορέσουν οι συνάδελφοι, ερευνητές και από τη δασική πράξη να εφαρμόσουν τη γενετική παρακολούθηση. Στο τέλος θα έχουμε αρκετά δεδομένα έτσι ώστε να μπορέσουμε να προστατεύσουμε τα δάση μας, κάνοντας κάτι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό. Αξιολογώντας διάφορες μεταβολές που μπορούμε να τις δούμε σε γενετικό επίπεδο, οι οποίες όμως δεν είναι σήμερα ορατές δια γυμνού οφθαλμού. Έτσι μπορούμε να προλάβουμε αρνητικές εξελίξεις στο δάσος και να επέμβουμε με τη γενετική παρακολούθηση, εντοπίζοντας τυχόν προβλήματα πριν αυτά γίνουν αντιληπτά στον πολύ κόσμο. Βρισκόμαστε στην Βαρβάρα Χαλκιδικής, σε μια επιφάνεια γενετικής παρακολούθησης. Είναι ένα δάσος οξιάς. Είμαστε στο νοτιοανατολικότερο σημείο εξάπλωσης του είδους στην Ευρώπη. Και αυτός είναι ένας πληθυσμός που, παρόλο που φαίνεται σήμερα πάρα πολύ ωραίος, τα κλιματικά μοντέλα τα οποία τρέχουν οι συνάδελφοί μας από τη Γαλλία έχουν δείξει ότι στο σημείο αυτό ενδεχομένως η οξιά να αντιμετωπίσει μεγάλα προβλήματα στο μέλλον. Έτσι έχουμε εγκαταστήσει εδώ μια επιφάνεια γενετικής παρακολούθησης σε μια άκτηση 40 στρεμμάτων, σε αυτό το δημόσιο δάσος. Διαχειρίζεται αυτό το δάσος τη δασική υπηρεσία. Στα 250 δέντρα αυτά έχουμε πάρει τις διταγμένες τους με GPS, μετρήσεις όπως ύψος, διάμετρο και ούτω καθεξής. Παίρνουμε σε 40 εξ αυτών κάθε χρόνο μετρήσεις που αφορούν την ανθοφορία, την καρποφορία και άλλες παρόμοιες μετρήσεις. Παίρνουμε γενετικό υλικό, έχουμε κάνει αναλύσεις DNA, μελετάμε χιλιάδες γονιδιακές θέσεις στα δέντρα αυτά και συγχρόνως εξετάζουμε την αναγέννηση. Έχουμε 4 επιφάνειες μέσα στο δάσος, μέσα σε αυτή την μονάδα παρακολούθησης, που κοιτάμε τα μικρά φυτά. Τα μικρά φυτά που εγκαθίσταται, μεγαλώνουν και σιγά σιγά θα αποτελέσουν τη νέα γενιά. Επίσης, στα συγκεκριμένα δέντρα παίρνουμε και σπέρματα για να αξιολογήσουμε και το κομμάτι αυτό του γενετικού υλικού που και αυτό θα δώσει την νέα γενιά. Αυτή τη στιγμή βρισκόμαστε στην επιφάνεια γενετικής παρακολούθησης, η οποία βρίσκεται στο δάσος Ελάτης της Καλλιπεύκης. Είμαστε στην περιοχή του Κάτω Ολύμπου, σε ένα πανέμορφο μέρος, ιστορικό, με πάρα πολύ υψηλή βιοποικιλότητα. Είναι η δεύτερη επιφάνεια γενετικής παρακολούθησης που έχουμε εγκαταστήσει. Είναι μια επιφάνεια με κύριο είδος την υβριδογενή ελάτη και σε μίξη υπάρχει επίσης εδώ καστανιά, οξιά και μαύρη πεύκη. Έχουμε λοιπόν εδώ εγκαταστήσει την επιφάνεια σε μια έκτηση 40 στρεμμάτων, στην οποία έχουμε επισημάνει 250 κυρίαρχα και συγκυρίαρχα άτομα, από τα οποία έχουμε πάρει γενετικό υλικό για αναλύσεις. Στον πυρήνα της επιφάνειας αυτής βρίσκονται 40 άτομα, στα οποία παίρνουμε αναλυτικές μετρήσεις για τα τελευταία 6 χρόνια που διαρκεί το έργο LIFEGENMON. Παίρνουμε λοιπόν μετρήσεις που αφορούν την φαινολογία τους, την ανθοφορία, την έκτηση των οφθαλμών και την καρποφορία σε ετήσια βάση. Επίσης παίρνουμε γενετικά δεδομένα για να κάνουμε γονιδιωματικές αναλύσεις, αναλύοντας χιλιάδες γονιδιακές θέσεις από βελόνες των ώριμων ατόμων, από σπέρματα των ατόμων αυτών, καθώς επίσης και από τη φυσική αναγέννηση που βρίσκεται μέσα στην επιφάνεια αυτή. Οι φαινολογικές μετρήσεις παίρνονται κάθε έτος, οι δε γενετικές αναλύσεις έχουν γίνει στην έναρξη του έργου και τώρα στο περίοδο που λύγει το έργο, περίπου 6 χρόνια μετά. Το πρόγραμμα λοιπόν στην τελική του μορφή θα παράξει τον οδηγό χρήσης, τον οδηγό εφαρμογής, ο οποίος θα είναι διαθέσιμος για τις δασικές υπηρεσίες και τα ερευνητικά ιδρύματα σε όλη την Ευρώπη για την εφαρμογή της γενετικής παρακολούθησης από τη θεωρία στην πράξη.
So, thank you very much, Phil. This was an exceptional movie. I hope it will be available soon at our LIFEGENMON homepage. We have enjoyed it very much, all of us. Now, I don't know if there is still any question for Phil regarding the movie, but if not, it is now time that we conclude our final LIFEGENMON conference on forest science for future forests and forest genetic monitoring and biodiversity for the future in the changing environment. And now I would like to thank and acknowledge everyone who has contributed to the LIFEGENMON project and to this final conference with all its events and activities in the past 5 days. So first it's the program committee, and in the program committee it were us from the Slovenian Forestry Institute, and so all the project partner leaders. So it were Phil Ravanopoulos, Barbara Fusi, Darius Kavaljauskas, Mark Wolter from Teisendorf. From Phil's lab, it's also Ermioni and Nikos. Then it was Fotis from the Greek, decentralized Greek unit for Dacia and Trachea. And then from our institute, Mariana, Marko, Rok, Gregor, Natalia, Tjasha, Katja, and all the others from the program team. Then we also, of course, have to thank all the on-site organizational colleagues. So Anica, who organized all this catering, logistics on site, the microphone and so on. Grega, who organized the conference website, registration system, and so on, together with Matjaž Logar, responsible for the website. So Grega was also organizing this registration system, the venue, all the coronavirus protection, the posters, and so on. Then Gregor Božič, of course, who helped also, not just as contributor, but also as a moderator, co-moderator of some sessions. Katja Sonnenschein, she had over the overall organization, also the organization of the virtual excursions and movie makers. Then it's Kristina Sever from the Slovenia Forest Service, who was of great help in all the organization. Marko Bajc is at our institute. He's responsible for coronavirus protection and was moderating the session and helped with the program. And he is the main person leading the preparation of the guidelines and the manual for forest genetic monitoring. Then Peter Prislan prepared the instructions for self-recording of presentations. Peter Zreleznik, he collected the conference abstracts and prepared the publishing of the book of abstracts and the program. Polona Hafner, she was collecting the registrations. Then we have a student, Timotej Jelen, who published the conference content in some social networks. Then Dr. Tine Grebens, he was also helping as a moderator of one of the sessions. Tjaša Baloch, she also had over the overall organization and all the budgetary issues, together with Polona Vukovic as well. Then Veronika Vodlan from the Center for Non-Governmental Organizations, who also greatly helped in the moderation of the conference. And now, again, she will also send a circular to all the participants, registered participants, keynote speakers, and so on, so that there will be a survey for the evaluation of the project and of the final conference. So please expect her contacting soon. Oh, I shouldn't forget also my other colleagues like Melita, who prepared this nice bouquet of flowers, and all the others who participated here in vivo, in person, in the audience. And then we also have to thank the movie makers from the Radio Television of Slovenia, Bernard Perme, the cameraman, and Aleša Valič, who were responsible for the overall production and preparation of the excursion movies. The Piktorama, the technical support, which worked excellently, I think. So it's Matjaž, Lobnik, and Samo and Boris. And then the most important person is specifically today for the roundtable and the press conference, and that is Boris Rantaša, who has already specialized in all this public relations stuff. I guess I might have forgotten some of our colleagues still. The LIFEGENMON team was big. The contributions from all of you were huge. We also need to thank you to all the contributors to today's to the roundtable from the ministry, and for permanent support by the ministry responsible for forestry, specifically Alenka Korenjak, providing the co-financing of our LIFE projects, Dr. Primož Simončič, who stressed the importance of all the European funding for our institute, 30% or more from the EU. Aleš Pulanc from the Slovenia Forest Service, and Andrej Breznikar, who is the leader of the team from Slovenia Forest Service. Mihael Koprivnikar, Igor Milavec, Miha Humar, and Marta Šabec, who have also contributed to the roundtable today. And I need to thank all of our online contributors, Dr. Robert Mauser, Michele Buzzano, Phil Ravanopoulos, and Barbara Fusi. So I hope I haven't forgotten too many. Mariana, did I mention you? Okay, thank you. So we are now getting to the close to the end of the LIFEGENMON project as well. We are working on the afterlife communication plan. I think that this conference and the roundtable and the press conference have contributed largely to this afterlife activities, and also contributed to the fate of the forests and forest management for the future. So thank you again, and bye. See you on the homepage.